Stellar Blade originally launched on PS5 over a year ago, and I almost reviewed it back then. I had the footage, I had the gameplay experience fresh in my mind, but something held me back. Not because I didn't have anything to say, trust me, I did, but because I didn't yet know how to say it. I didn't fully understand why this game hit me the way it did. And now, after diving back in with the recent DLCs, it finally clicked. It's not just the combat, or the visuals, or even the soundtrack, though all those things are incredible. Nope, what made Stellar Blade stick with me was how it reminded me of games I loved when I was younger. Games from a time before battle passes, before microtransactions were shoved into every menu, back when developers poured their hearts into making something fun, and packed with content from the very first boot-up screen. Stellar Blade brought me back to that feeling. But sure, that's easy to say, but now you're probably asking yourself, why? Well, let's kick things off by diving into the best part of the game. And no, it's not the visuals, although those are pretty nice. But no. The best part of this game has to be the combat. Stellar Blade strikes a sweet balance between satisfying and punishing. It's flashy without being brainless, fast without being out of control. If you're coming from games like Bayonetta, Sekiro, or Nier Automata, you'll feel right at home. But even if you're not, it gives you time to ease in, then steadily cranks up the difficulty until you're dodging, parrying, and countering like it's second nature. The finishing moves deserve a special shout out. They're brutal in the best way, gory, cinematic, and stylish as hell. There's a sense of impact to each one that makes every enemy takedown feel earned. These aren't just visual fluff, they're a reward that I never get tired of. There's also a slick upgrade system that lets you tailor your combat style without drowning in stat pages. By equipping up to 2 Exospines that you find around the world, you'll be able to augment Eve with numerous abilities and stat buffs. Do you have horrible reflexes? Like I do, but want to parry like a pro? Then the Reflex type Exospine may be for you. Or, do you want to unleash powerful combos to leave your opponents in pieces? Then the Chain type Exospine might be more to your liking. In addition to Exospines, you also have numerous gear slots to increase your offensive and defensive abilities even further. There is, of course, a skill tree, but it never felt overwhelming. And every upgrade ability just made me more excited to try out Eve's new moves. And to be honest, I've never been good at memorizing button combos, and I typically just stick to the same few moves and unleash Eve's beta and burst skills when they charge up. But that's what's great about this game. If you want to play that way, you can. Or if you want to memorize every button combo and fully master Eve's entire moveset, you can do that as well. But now, let's talk aesthetics. Because Stellar Blade doesn't just play great, it looks and feels great too. The world is this hauntingly beautiful blend of decayed cities, post-human ruins, and neon-soaked tech. It has that vintage sci-fi anime energy, like a mix of Ghost in the Shell and Nier, with just a hint of Blade Runner. There's this melancholic tone running through everything. It's not trying to be dark for the sake of it. It's just the natural atmosphere of a world that feels abandoned, but not hopeless. And Eve? She's a big part of that vibe. Her design is divisive for some, but here's the thing. It fits. She's not just fan service in a vacuum. And the outfit system, ridiculously fun. Some are skimpy, some are straight up high fashion, and they all make you feel like an unstoppable force while you're slicing up Natibas. Combine that with a moody, synth-driven soundtrack that shifts between pulsing combat tracks and ethereal background ambiance, and the vibe becomes something you just sink into. But you know that feeling when a game throws you into a boss fight and everything else fades away? Stellar Blade nails that. These boss fights are intense, cinematic, and mechanically sharp. Every major encounter feels like a test, not just of your skills, but of your focus. Some of the enemy designs are insane, but in the best way. Mutated flesh, mechanical monstrosities, and even some that evoke genuine dread. Like something out of a nightmare you didn't realize you had. And some will require learning the timing of their moves, otherwise they'll slice you into ribbons before you know what hit you. These fights reminded me of how games used to feel, when a boss wasn't just a wall to get through, but an event. Here's something that genuinely blew me away. This game feels complete. Like, actually done. In an era where most games ship half-baked and promise to finish later via patches and paid expansions, Stellar Blade just gives you everything. From the jump, you get a robust single-player campaign, tons of side quests, customization options, secret areas, and bonus outfits, just to name a few. And the recent DLCs, they add to the game with numerous new cosmetics and quality of life improvements. Now, the 2 major DLCs were paid, and I was happy to pay for them, but the base experience already felt full. You don't get that much anymore. It reminded me of the PS2 and early PS3 days, with games that were weird, bold, stylish, and, most importantly, fun. Games that weren't chasing engagement metrics. They were just trying to wow you. Stellar Blade feels like it was made by people who love games for people who love games. Okay, we've covered most of the positives, but were there any negatives? Well, in my opinion, the story was one of the weakest parts of the package. It's not terrible. It has some cool world building, a few twists, and some thematic ambition. But it also stumbles. The pacing's uneven, characters are underdeveloped, and by the end, I didn't feel particularly connected to anyone except Eve, and even that connection was surface level. I kept waiting for that one moment to hit me emotionally, but it never really did. There are hints to deeper lore, but a lot of it feels half-explored. The game gestures at bigger questions about humanity, identity, and sacrifice, but it never fully commits. That said, if you're here for the gameplay, the world, and the vibe, you'll still have a great time. But if you're expecting a narrative that hits as hard as the combat, you might walk away a little underwhelmed. Stellar Blade surprised me. Not because it had great combat or killer visuals, I partially expected that. What surprised me was how personal it felt. Like a love letter to the games I grew up on. The ones that didn't ask me to buy anything extra. That's rare now, and it's what makes Stellar Blade special. Is it perfect? No. The story has rough edges, and some characters could have been fleshed out more. But the core experience? It's stylish, satisfying, generous, and fun from start to finish. It's one of the best action games I've ever played, and more importantly, it reminded me of why I fell in love with video games in the first place. The only other game to do that recently was Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which also felt like the devs put their heart and soul into it, and just tried to make something that they themselves would love to play. That's just fun. Funny how that works. But that's why I give Stellar Blade an 8 out of 10. If you missed the days when games were content-rich, weirdly ambitious, and just fun as hell, do yourself a favor. Play this game. Alright everyone, that's gonna wrap up my review of Stellar Blade. I really hope you enjoyed it, or at the very least, found it helpful. If you did, it would mean the world to me if you hit that like button. It helps more than you know. And if you're new here or haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. I've got plenty more reviews, retrospectives, and gaming content coming your way. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I seriously appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, take care of yourselves, play some awesome games, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.